What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another top 5. This time it's the biggest 100 zoom pots from the month of March. Probably the last month I'll be playing on Stars, going to be playing on ACR, so next month it should be bigger pots because we'll be playing 200 zoom. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, if you haven't done so already. We're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Alright, guys, let's get stuck in. Number 5 in our top biggest pots, and this one annoyed me. I don't like the way I played this one, to be honest. Button opens 3x at 100 zoom. We 3-bet to 11, which I think is pretty standard here. Villain calls. Top pair here, I go for just under a half pot bet, which I think is fine. Could maybe go like half pot or bigger. It's a pretty good board for us. It's a pretty good board for him, though, as well. He's going to connect quite a lot with this. He calls. I check the turn, which I really don't like. There's still a load we can get value from. We're a little bit deeper. I think just betting the turn makes more sense here. But checking is also fine. A little bit deeper, I think we just want to check call. If we were 100 big blinds deep to start, I think check jamming here would be absolutely fine. But I just call. River comes a king, giving us top 2. We check and villain overbet shoves. I really wish I'd have folded here. I just didn't think that this villain really had any bluffs. What really bluffs here and what value bets were. So he would never ever overbet jam a worse hand for value. There's just no way, not even king 10, because I don't think he takes this line. He was actually quite tight post flop. I can't really picture what bluffs he has. I don't think he'd be having a bluff like 7-8 of clubs, even though I think it'd make a reasonable bluff because we're quite low down in our range. And I don't think he bluffs hands like ace-5 of clubs and stuff like that. This whole hand I really didn't like. I do decide to go ahead and call anyway after some deliberation, and he shows ace queen. Against this specific villain, I think that we could have folded here. Obviously it's a cooler, but I don't really like the way I played it. Yeah, that was pot number 5, $295 pot, and we lose it. Okay, guys, number 4, we've got pocket jacks. We open and small blind calls. Villain squeezes out of the big blind, and we are a bit deeper here, so I definitely don't really want to be, 4-bet getting it in, so I just call. At least that we are in position here regardless, so, I'd be considering even 4-bet folding against certain villains if we were out of position, because it's just a lot harder to realize our equity, but in position, I think calling's fine, and the other villain gets out of the way. We flop absolute gin. Jack deuce 5 rainbow, things you'd love to see. Villain bets, I'm just not going to have any raises on this board. Raising my jacks doesn't really make much sense. There's nothing to protect from. There's not that many draws out there that we'd be bluffing with anyway. So we just call. Turn comes a 4, and same again, we're just going to call pretty much our range here. I don't really see much point in raising in position. Out of position, it's different. We want to raise for value and as bluffs because we don't get to realize our equity is easy. But in this spot, I think we just have a pretty easy call. We don't really want to see an ace, king, queen, or 3. He still has queens plus, and obviously ace, king, ace, queen, hands like that. So we do just call. River comes a 9, so we have the effective nuts. He does have 4 combos of ace 3 suited here. I think they're the only hands that he can ever have that beat us. But he should still really be jamming aces, kings, potentially queens here. We can still have queens, so queens would be a little bit on the thin side, given, we'd have to have ace-jack suited or whatever to call. Anyway, we obviously snap call, and we beat the ace-queen bluff, which was pretty nice, to be honest. So, yeah, $307 pot our way this time. Okay, guys, number 3, we cold 4-bet ace-king here. This is actually on my highlights, so you might have already seen this one. This guy was quite an aggressive reg. This guy's a fun player. I'm not sure about this villain. We come in with a cold 4-bet with the ace-king, which I think is definitely standard, especially when there's dead money here effectively from the fun player. And going this size, I think the size makes sense. Villain does call, and we see an ace deuce 9. Absolutely loving it here. Probably just going to bet maybe range here. I may consider checking against this guy. If I'm going to bet, I'd usually pick an even smaller size and go like $15 here, just a quarter pot. But I'm sizing up slightly because of the fun player, and he just rips it in for 140 big blinds. So I'm like, okay. I feel as though we can never really be beat, so he's going to be up like flush draws or whatever. Maybe he's got ace-9 suited. It's unlikely he's going to play a set this way. We call, and the run out bricks, and he has ace-queen. This is absolutely horrible play from villain, as you can imagine. First of all, cold calling the 3-bet is trash. You should just fold. Maybe cold 4 if you think this guy's getting out of line because you have the button. And then once we called 4-bet, calling is trash. The worst play is this jam here. because literally I'm just going to fold all of my worst hands. Like, I'm not going to call hands like kings here, even without a spade, because I'm not going to level myself and be like, oh, he's going to have a flush draw. I'm just going to fold and continue with, I have aces here, I have ace king, and I have ace queen here, ace queen suited here. So I'm just going to call with those hands. When he has ace queen himself, I'm only going to have 2 combos of ace queen, because it has to be ace queen suited. So yeah, his play is just absolutely trash. But it's a $345 pot, and it goes to us, which is nice. Okay, guys, this is the second biggest pot we played this month, and it's a fun one. 200 big blinds deep against a fun player in the big blind. We open 3x. Villain 3 bets, which we love to see, and we put in a pretty chunky 4 bet here. Against this guy, we might even want to go bigger here. I wouldn't even hate going like 31 just to get more money in, because I think he's pretty inelastic to sizing. But then again, we have the nuts, so we don't really want to put too much in. So we go ahead and 4 bet, and obviously villain calls. Pretty good flop here. I go for a large bet, mainly just leveraging the advantage we have in the overpairs. We want him to have hands like king, queens, jacks, tens. They're not going to fold to any size. Probably argument to go bigger here. In saying that, when we do bet and he calls, the SPR is going to be 1. So villain does call, and so the stack to pot is 1. My plan was to just shove on a lot of turns, to be honest with you. Especially not having the ace of clubs. There's a lot of bad rivers on this kind of board, depending on what the turn is. But we drill top set. So I think that against regs here, I'm going to want to check. I'm going to want to balance when we have hands like kings and queens. We, you know, can still bet here with some bluffs, and we can bet some ace kings, but I think aces is a pretty good hand to check to balance with. However, against a fun player, I just want to put more money in. I still think, you know, if we just give him the right price, he's going to call with hands like tens, jacks, stuff like that. We bet, villain calls. We see the 5 of hearts on the river, which we assume to be a brick, and obviously jam it in for half pot. I do think there's some value in checking, considering we don't have a club. He could have clubs, but I think that when we have the ace of clubs, we might want to check, because he can't have ace x of clubs. When we don't have the ace of clubs, he can still have the ace of clubs with another club, which will probably check back, but definitely might call a river shove. So I think shoving here is standard, and he takes a couple of seconds before calling, and he shows 8-9 fucking offsuit. So he drills a nut straight on the river. So obviously flop and turn is standard from him if he's in those positions. Like, we gave him a good price to draw on the turn, but pre-flop he called a 29 fucking big blind 3 bet with 8-9 offsuit. So yeah, $400 pot, and it goes to the absolute amazing player in the big blind. And yeah, second biggest pot. Okay, guys, the biggest pot that we played this month was again with aces. So under the gun opens, we 3-bet from middle position, and villain calls. This guy's quite an aggressive regular. We flop top set here and go for a small bet, and villain does call. The turn comes a king, so obviously queen jack is now the nuts. We go for a large size and we get raised. I wasn't really enjoying life here because don't really see what he's going to raise with. Pocket tens is possible, but because we still have aces and kings here, I'd expect him to be raising the flop more often than tens, but I do still think he has it. Obviously, he's going to have queen jack suited here for combos. I also think maybe he's going to have hands like 8-9 of diamonds here. I think that would make sense as a bluff, something along those lines. We just call anyway. We're just going to continue calling. I don't really see much point in getting it in. Maybe this argument if we think he's going to have a hand like tens or even pocket kings in case the river comes something bad. River does brick, and villain shoves for pot, basically. I snap call here. I'm just not folding here if he's got queen jack. Good luck to him. I expected to lose this hand. I'm not going to lie to you. I expected to lose this hand. He does show up with the queen 10, which was a bluff, which I don't mind given that he blocks, you know, pocket tens and he blocks a straight, and he should be having some bluffs if he's just going to have queen jack. The funny thing was he had a go at me when we were in next in the hand. He said, oh yeah, nice one, nice snap call. And I was like, what do you want me to do? Fold top set? He was like, yeah. People literally expect, because they're repping a hand, that we should fold. And that's like why bluffing works so well, because most players will fold. Like, just because somebody is representing a hand of great strength doesn't mean they necessarily have it. So yeah, the top 2 biggest pots were with aces. At least we won this one. Had he have had queen jack, that would have sucked. I also think his pre-flop call is a bit loose. We are deeper, so it's okay, but in these positions, you know, we are just going to have quite a strong range, so it is a little bit loose. But we will take it over a $400 pot, over a 200 big blind pot our way, and that is everything, guys. So make sure to like, guys, if you enjoyed the video. We'll release these ones every month. Next month, we'll be playing 200 zoom on ACR, 200 blitz on ACR. So hopefully we'll see some bigger pots, and hopefully they'll go our way. Please subscribe, guys, if you enjoy the content. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, very close. And yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.